one man saying that is fine. If that's your opinion and you're not in it, that's fine. But there is an entire market of millions and millions of people that agree that it is a store of value. So, you can think one thing, but there's also a market, and markets tend to become efficient over time.
We do know that you will always get paid in Hex on a daily basis. And that is truly the miracle that we call Hex, because it is trustless interest, trustless yield. Nothing will stop that contract from running.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome in to the Creed of Crypto podcast. We provide immersive, essential, and evergreen strategies for the novice cryptocurrency investor. How you doing? I am one half your host, Boi Crypto. Hope you guys enjoyed the new intro. It's still pretty banging. I must say, after a couple of weeks in, I very much enjoyed it. I have here with me, as always, my friend and co-host, Crypto Ewok. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff tonight. We've got the, if you saw the thumbnail, we got the Bankless Boys on there. We also have Richard Hart. And we're going to talk a little bit tonight about what is crypto and why don't these influencers seem to understand what it is. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff. The market is down. We've got a lot of things that everybody's scared of here happening in March in the greater macro economy. But Ewok, how are you doing? How are you feeling tonight?
Feeling good. Another Wednesday episode. What are we doing? 43 now. Seems like
43.
Yeah.
That is spanning. Now, some people may be like, hey, big deal, 43 episodes. That's not even a year. We've actually been doing the show in podcast form for a year and a half. It's actually been since September of 2021. So actually, when Hex was like at its all-time high, and Bitcoin was a couple of months away from it before a terrible bear market, is when we started this show. So if you want to hear some of the old episodes, you can do that on your favorite podcast platform dating back to then. But yeah, we've been doing this live stream consistently every single Wednesday here, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for, I don't know, a little while now. I forget when we started.
Yeah, it's been good. Having a good time. I think, growing a nice little audience here. Some regulars popping in every week, and it's been fun.
Yeah, had a crypto coffee on last week, which was definitely a great time getting kind of deep into the Hex ecosystem, of course. And we're going to talk about it again tonight, as well as a lot of other cryptocurrency matters. So I guess we should start off just kind of looking at where we are in the market. So yeah, there's some people being scaredy cats on Twitter right now. Bitcoin has dipped below 22K in the last couple of hours, about 21.7 right now. ETH, just like it has the entire bear market into what I think is now a new cycle, holding pretty damn strong in relation to Bitcoin. I mean, just a warrior. 1536 is where ETH sits right now, over almost 2x up on its bear market lows in, I forget when that was, July of 2022. I don't even remember what year it was. Hex has had a major dip or so over the last day, but a kind of normal retracement, kind of what we expected may happen, just under 6 cents right now. I placed a pretty large buy order, large for myself anyway, earlier today. And the market is down and people are a little bit scared right now. There's been a lot of Fed stuff happening in the last couple of days. Jerome Powell, of course, spoke yesterday, which we're going to get to in a moment. But Ewok, I will start with you. We always kind of start with, we haven't done this in a couple of weeks since we had Crypto Coffee on last week. But I will remind everybody, if you are here and enjoy the stream, hit the like, sub to each one of our channels. I'm Boi Crypto. And Ewok, let them know where your YouTube channel is. What is the handle there?
Crypto Ewok on Twitter and Crypto Ewok 5555 on YouTube.
Yeah, so hit us up, hit the like. We very much appreciate it. And yeah, Ewok, we usually do start off with like where we're both thinking about the market. Obviously, for the last few weeks, I think since January, I mean, I've really had the growing feeling. And now, I mean, I don't know that I could really be swayed that the bear market's definitely over. The lows are definitely in. Although I think this is, we're already seeing it. It's not like I'm saying anything crazy. I think this could be the last. I think this would be the worst month that we see for the rest of this year, because we have a lot of catalysts again with the Fed in the next couple of weeks, which we're going to get to. But I think once we get past there and further into the spring and summer, but it'll be much more blue skies. Not that we're going to any kind of all-time highs in 2023. I certainly don't mean that, but I think that we will see some, blow through that 25K mark here eventually, and feeling pretty good about the market. But how about yourself? Are you still of the opinion that we could see new lows? Where do you think we're headed here in the short term?
I am. I'm still not sold on the. I'm still not sold that the bear market is over. There's just, every time I think it's starting to turn around, something else changes my mind back to nope, not yet. So, the latest was all the Silk Road coins that were hitting the market today. There's a ton of those. I don't know if you saw Richard's post earlier about all the coins that are still yet to come out, and now they're starting to hit the market. Now, they did it in was it 900 or maybe it was 1,000 Bitcoin orders today, but several hit the market on Coinbase. So I don't know. I just there's still I don't see that sentiment yet. So I hate to be that. I'm not a perma bear. I swear, I'm really not. But
I don't know. I mean, normal viewers of this program, myself included, might argue otherwise.
They may, but I see a lot of things that are just, people get a little anxious when they see a turn in the market and say, all right, it's over, and then it's really not. And that's just kind of still where I'm at.
Are you sure you're not a Reddit soy boy?
I'm not a Reddit. I don't even go to Reddit. I don't.
You're not ghost posting there.
No, I don't. I don't participate. Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, I guess what I'll just say. Let's have a little fun with this. When I hear you say that stuff, so Silk Road coins, Mt. Gox coins, GDBC or something like that. Which that one I will say that would intrigue me to hear some news on that a little bit. But sometimes it's just kind of like. I don't know. I mean, are we just like naming things to guess what might be a catalyst for the new way down? I mean, because that stuff, could happen. It may happen, but if there's more buyers at these prices now and people are just feeling better about it, I don't know that it's really going to matter, regardless of how impactful the story sounds. I don't know. It all just sounds not necessarily the specifics that you're mentioning, but when I hear some of these people are talking about this, I know you don't care about this, but this Silvergate thing right now, nobody cares about Silvergate. It's over, it's priced in, and it's just kind of no, the market's just not reacting to these pieces of news. And I understand, sometimes just the mathematical equation of the selling off of coins is different from somebody's reaction to a story. But I think we have the retail, whoever is in the market right now, nobody's really reacting to the links that they were towards the end of 2022, specifically November. It's just gotten better since then. And we've had a nice leg up. But yeah, I don't know. I could certainly see, and I do think we already are. I think in the short term, we could definitely go lower. We're going to get into this, but we have the CPI reading next week on the 14th. And then the following week on the 22nd, we have the FOMC reading where we think we're going to get now a 50-point rate hike again. Yeah, there's things coming that I could see some more downside in the short term, maybe even a loss of 20K temporarily. Right. But that's about as bad as I see it. So I mean, are you thinking a scenario where we touch the previous lows and hit back up, or what do you
well, I think we at least go there. We'll see if it holds. I'm gonna share this tab here because can I zoom in on this a little bit? Maybe. Oops, maybe a little too much.
Is this going to be what? Oh, okay, you got it. Okay.
So, it said 49,000 Bitcoin from Silk Road hacker got sent to Coinbase 6 hours ago, and there are 69,000 of them. And then Richard said, "Oops, only 9,800." So today's action was only 9,800, and they did it in 1,000 Bitcoin order buys or sells. Anyway, so only 9,000 took it down to, the 21,000 level today, and they're still between 49 and 69. Huh?
So it only took the Bitcoin price down like $300. I mean, we were at like 22K for most of the day. I mean, we were at 22K the last few days.
Okay. All right. Well, okay.
So you're wrong.
Anyway,
No,
well, kind of, maybe so, but that, there's a lot more dumping to happen.
Yeah. I'm with you.
Whether these Mt. Gox coins come out, we don't know. The Bitfinex hacker has 119,000. And, there's the other coins from GBTC that we just don't know what are going to happen. I don't know. I'm telling you, I'm not sold yet.
Well, if you want to,
but yes, I am thinking we're going to get back in touch that 15,000 mark.
Okay. All right. Well, either way, it's not 10K and it's not 12K. So, we both, and I will say that we were both thinking that for a long time. But just for me, like the thing that I've been saying now for a while, it's more so the time. I just feel like we've got to be out of this 4-year cycle at this point, and it just seems like we're in a new cycle now. I think that if we were going to hit new lows, I mean, maybe it's nonsensical. I don't know why, but it's the 4-year cycle seems to be extremely reliable, like clockwork right now.
Yep. But again, this cycle has never seen a macro environment like we're in. Mm-hmm. And I hear more and more people saying now we're not even going to go 25 basis points on the next one. We could probably go 50 by the way he was talking the other day.
Well, that's what I think that is the probable thing. Actually.
So, that's bearish too. So there's just a lot of things that are mounting, I think, until we can actually close it out. May, March, April, May, hopefully we see something. I think it will happen by May and then get things turned around.
Yeah, I could see that, and we're going to get into that because I'll pull up the FOMC schedule because I do believe the next meeting is in May, that we've talked about before. But yeah, I'm just in the mode of like I don't know. I just I have been since November, basically like DCAing at a much higher level, as if like this has been the end. Like and
we'll save some of it just in case it's not.
No, not going to do that. No, if anybody out there wants to just cover your eyes and ears like me, and we're in a bull market now, go ahead and do that. If you want to be like Ewok and, look at every single storyline that comes up and thinks that we're hitting to new lows, go ahead and do that. Whatever floats your boat. So,
yeah.
But yeah, just having fun. But yeah,
good thing we're not financial advisors, right?
Yeah, exactly that. Yes, right. But this is an interesting month, and it's no surprise we're seeing volatility right now. It's no surprise that we're seeing downside. Let's examine before we get into expectations about CPI and FOMC in the next couple of weeks, what we did hear from Powell the last couple of days, specifically his sparring match with
Pocahontas.
Well, yeah. So we've been demonetized 12 and a half minutes into the video. But no, yeah, with Elizabeth Warren, who just never ceases to amaze in the, manufactured indignation acting. But yeah, so what are your thoughts on some of the things that he said? Because I think you're right. I think he gave a lot of indication that it didn't sound great. It didn't sound terrible either, but it didn't sound fantastic. I think you're right that 50 basis points might be the way that they do go next time. But I'm more concerned with how much longer is this going to last? Will they do it again in May? Because we were thinking before that maybe this would be the last one. Now I'm not so sure. But what was your kind of impression about a lot of stuff that Jerome Powell said?
Well, so first of all, I think a lot of this is theater.
Yeah,
I really do. I think, if I were him, I would have said, well, listen, if you guys stop spending money, we wouldn't be in this problem. And easy as that. Or, then all these senators say, well, we just get rid of you guys because they could do that too. So it's funny how they, spar back and forth with each other. And but yeah, but based on what he was saying, Jay Powell, I think we're going to see another couple rate hikes. I really do, at least two.
Hmm.
We originally, like you said, thought that they would stop by that May meeting. Not so sure now, by the way he was talking, that we're just not where we need to be. Um, and I can see 50 and then maybe 25 and then be done, or 50-50 be done if they get, close to the numbers of turnaround that they're looking for. But, again, it's such a drawn out process that um, all these things take so long to pan out for things to actually come to fruition. What the
Yeah.
what their hikes do can take months, sometimes several quarters to pan out. So I don't know. I see probably 50 points this time and maybe 50 points the next time. That's wishful thinking. And then if they're done by then, um, we move on from there.
Well, here's the way this lines up. So, March 21st and 22nd, the 22nd is when we hear what this next rate hike is. That I don't know, and you're right. Like, if it is 50 basis points, with the fact that they only went 25 the last time in January, yeah, that pretty much no way to argue that that's not bearish. That said, if the market decides to get that into its consciousness leading up to that, it may not be as terrible as we may be thinking here right now. I mean, if we
Yeah.
get to that point and like 80% of people, according to polling, are expecting it, we may not see that much more downside. We'll have to
Right.
see. I think we're going to see volatility either way.
Yeah.
I do think we could see some more downside for sure. Um, but the thing I find interesting looking at this, so the start of 2023 with these FOMC meetings have actually been sparse as far as the volume of them. The first one was the end of January. Now we're going to have one almost the end of March. But now the frequency picks up a little bit. So now we're going to have, Powell right now, he's forecasting out 8 weeks at some times. But in May, it's May 2nd and 3rd. So now we're only at about a 5 to 6 week gap in between. Then we go right into June and it's about another 5 weeks. So, yeah, we went from almost an 8 week gap in between to like a little over a month. So they're going to have, I think, a lot more clarity as we go into each one of the next ones. That's why it's been kind of hard to say when we were forecasting what would happen in March back in January, what the hell was going to happen because it was
Right.
still so far away. So now that we're this close, I agree with you. I do think 50 is probably what we're going to see, but May is still too far off, I think. So it's hard to say. But yeah, sitting here right now, I think I could probably see one more of just about 25 then, and then they're done. And I feel like that's probably the worst case scenario, honestly. Like or maybe 250s, like you said, Ewok.
I
You
think
think it
that's
could be any worse?
well, no, as of right now, I think that's a worst case. But again, it takes a while for things to play out. So, if they don't get the results that they're looking for by then, who's to say we don't have a third 50 point and then be done? It's just really hard to say. And it's really just all speculation at this point. Unless you're in those back rooms, it's really
Right.
hard to say.
Yeah, definitely. What did you make? We'll just entertain this real quick. And I know we both watched a stream of it, but what did you make with the specifics of what Elizabeth Warren was saying to Powell? And I agree with you that it's an act and a dog and pony show entirely,
Yeah.
more so on her part, obviously, than Powell. But yeah, what did you make of that interaction, and what do you think is really going on?
Well, she says about the jobs. I think that was what she kind of focused mostly on is, so you're telling me that, how many millions of people are going to be out of work? And I'm surprised you didn't just say, well, yeah, that's about what's going to happen. But,
Right.
2 million people, was it 2 million? I forget
2
the
million.
number.
Yeah.
That's really,
So nobody,
in the
like
grand
hardly
scheme of things, that's not that many people.
no.
And there are still jobs out there. It doesn't mean there aren't jobs available. It's just some of the sectors will be, laying off, which who knows which sectors those will be. But yeah, 2 million people is really not that many people. to get the rate of where they kind of need to be for this to even out. So.
Right. Well, and she's gotta saying that number to her constituents, like the people that believe the type of things that she says,
Right.
they think that that's a big number, and they don't, largely understand economics or anything like that. But to a bigger point, the idea that she and her cohorts didn't create the situation that we're in, and as
Right.
if Powell, I'm not sitting here to defend Jerome Powell all night, but like as if he created the issue and now has to get them out of it. When
Well,
she would be printing money until
yeah.
the cows come home.
Well, they're passing bills left and right to spend all this money. They want to bail people out of college. They want to spend
Right.
all this extra money on these different funds. And, I get it. Some money does need to be spent, but that's why we're in this predicament to begin with. So,
Right.
There was another comment made today where he said, and maybe this was from yesterday and I just didn't catch it, but that the CBDCs would be introduced probably within a year, because he mentioned something about having digital payments, instant digital payments within a year. So that's something else we need to, really keep an eye on too.
Yeah, I saw an account that is typically pretty spammy with info, but I maybe it was truthful. Maybe you saw more than I did, Ewok. But Powell said something. It was asked like, what it would do to the crypto market, and said something about sending it to zero or
Right.
something. I don't know if this was a made up tweet or not, but yeah, it just was kind of laughable to me. I mean, like
Not
the way.
not gonna happen.
No, I mean, the way that those are going to be set up, and like for example, I think one of the ones that's being created and used in China right now, or the way they're looking at it, I saw it again. It's always a tweet that I see, and I don't bookmark. And I lost my camera for a minute again. I'll get in a second here. Basically with their CDBC, it was going to be that the money expired after a certain amount of time. Like if you didn't access it and use it, I'm sure for X, Y, or Z, it would expire and you wouldn't have it anymore, which is kind of not great. So, yeah, I don't
I
think
was
that
kind of
happens in
thinking that
crypto.
was more of like a social, basically like a welfare program almost, where if they give it to
Maybe.
you, you can't save it. They want you to use it. I think I could be
Maybe.
wrong with that, but I think it was more of like a assistance type program, where if they do give you money that you need to spend it, or you're not deserving of it. If you're saving it, if you're able to save the money and you don't need it, then you stop getting it, kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah. So we'll see how it goes. Either way, this is going to continue to be a volatile month because of these changes. So keep your eyes peeled. As far as the CPI, I really don't know what to expect. I mean, I think we'll probably see um, inflation continue to come down slightly. Will it be the exact decimal point that everybody wants to see? I don't know. Last time it missed the mark, but just barely. Didn't really seem to affect the market that much. I mean, we still had pretty bullish action compared to how things had been anyway. So we'll see where that number comes in. But yeah, what we would say, and again, we're not advising anybody financially, but in terms of where this market could be going this month, I would just say tread lightly as far as some of your DCAs, because you've seen. I mean, how about last week, Ewok? We didn't even bring this up because now we have all this news coming out. But last week, I forget what day it was, BTC just had this ridiculous red candle down. I remember you
Yep.
texted me out of nowhere. And, it was very strange. And then we're just kind of having this action slightly more to the downside since then. So we're probably going to see this kind of stuff. I don't know about that red candle again, but we're going to see this kind of stuff the rest of this month likely. So just be careful with your DCAs. And, it's a good time to definitely have that dry powder and be judiciously getting it into the market if that's what your plans are. So same to you, Pip. Everybody in the chat, hit the like. We very much appreciate it if you are enjoying the stream.
Yep.
Don't worry, we're going to get away from all of this boring macro government talk. And before we get into the things that Ewok and I both believe that we want to have in our portfolio, we're going to talk about what we wouldn't want in our portfolio for crypto. And we've talked about this before, but as we get into 2023 and especially 24, 25, all of our friends that only hit us up when BTC hits new all-time highs are going to be crawling back into the market and, buying stupid stuff at the top. Let's identify some of that stupid stuff for them right now so they can, from the future, hi guys, come back here and watch this stream and we can laugh at you and say, this is what you should have listened to back in March of 2023. Because I can identify all of these things right now. Like, it's so clear to me, and I want to get your take as well, Ewok. And I know, you being just primarily a complete hexagon, I don't know what all you see in the rest of the market, but I like to also keep tabs on some of this other garbage just so I know what's going on. But what do you think, other than the obvious ideas, like, staking on exchanges, leaving crypto on exchanges, all the typical things that people need to avoid? Right now, we're already seeing these big influencers like, I'm not going to name names. Just go to the biggest crypto YouTube channels. They have like literally millions of subs. Okay. You're going to see all of the big time money, VC backed, boring, redundant projects, layer ones, layer twos, blah, blah, blah. The same tired thing that you've been hearing, man, since last DeFi summer, basically, in like 2020, maybe 2021 at some point. You're just going to hear more of this stuff now. We have Aptos launching, which, I don't know, Solana 2.0. I think it actually works is the difference. Optimism is a layer 2. Arbitrum is the huge layer 2 that everybody's like absolutely obsessed with right now, and all these airdrops and everything. To me, that's the stuff that I don't really want anything to do with. Like, and don't get me wrong, like, you will get X's from it. You will make money. You could make money from it. Like, I mean, Aptos has already done like a 3x, or something, and of course crashed back down. But these
but
things
at what risk? At what risk, though? That's
exactly
the problem.
Yeah. So I'll let you hit that part up for me. Yeah. Why do you think there's increased risk with stuff like that?
Well, it's unproven. We don't know. I don't know much about it, so it's not fair of me to say, stay away from it because, but I know. There's a lot of centralized entities getting into this stuff. How much of it is backed and by who, we just don't know. So I stay away from anything that I'm just not familiar with. I'm very comfortable with DeFi. I'm very comfortable with holding my keys. And maybe some of these platforms or currencies have that as well. I'm just in a good place. So I don't explore out too much and take many risks. I'm not too worried about a 3x really at this point,
Right.
because I know what's coming. And I really think I really think PulseChain is going to set off our bull market for us once this stuff starts to launch. I think this will be the early bull market into the rest of the markets. I think it'll kind of flow in nicely. I just don't think, kind of going back to what I was saying earlier, I just don't think we're there yet. So yeah, I'm just not messing around with that stuff. I'm concerned on focusing on, what I'm interested in and what I think is going to have the most returns for our dollars.
Australian in the chat looks like he actually may be into that stuff. He says, you minions live in an echo chamber. If Hex went away tomorrow, it would not change anything except your bags.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe he's an Aptos guy. I'm not real sure.
Well, I'm not sure what he is, but Bitcoin could go away tomorrow too, and it really wouldn't change anything except for their bags. So
yeah,
it's kind of going to be hard for. I want to touch on this because it's going to be hard for Hex to go away. I've said it many times before. That contract is going to keep running whether this alien guy likes it or not, and there's not a whole lot he can do about it. There's unless they shut down the Ethereum chain, Hex will be here. There are people that are locked up for 15 years and just not going anywhere. So I really wish people would just kind of get used to it. And if they don't like it, move on. Kind of like I said, I don't like Aptos or any of those. I'm not putting it down. I'm not interested in it. So I don't talk about it. So,
Well, I am putting it
there you go.
down, and yeah, basically what I guess I was trying to lead you to say is that all that most of that stuff is all VC backed stuff. Which and I'm not in a vacuum criticizing VC backed stuff or anything like that, but all these people, like especially Arbitrum right now, they're all in on likely some kind of backdoor deal that already happened. They got in at a price. The token hasn't even dropped yet in Arbitrum's case. So like all these influencers, obviously that that's part of my portfolio. Yeah, I mean no shit it is, because you got in on the ground floor before anybody else when nobody was able to do that before. So that's
Right.
going to be the big thing to stay away from, is like, and I know maybe to most of the people other than Australian that are watching us right now, they understand that when you go to these big influencer channels, and you guys know who they are if you've been around crypto for even 6 months, that's not the stuff that you should be interested in. Like likely if they're talking about it or it's in their portfolio, most of the gains have evaporated. And who are we kidding? It's still crypto. I mean, it's probably going to do well,
Sure.
compared to legacy finance. But, just keep in mind, there's the best stuff, and I think this goes for any walk of life, is not the easiest stuff to get. Especially in crypto, the largest gains that we can still have lie in the things that are tougher to get and
Right.
still have people like Australian, shit talking them and stuff like that. And you have to have balls to actually participate in this market, unlike some people. So, I mean, that's just kind of the way it is. So,
Yep.
But
I agree. I
go
agree.
ahead.
If it's easy to get, you hit it on the head. If it's easy to get, and if your favorite influencer is talking about the top 5 cryptos this week, like I said, you probably want to stay away from it anyway. Find find the ones that are, like you said, a little tougher to get, a little harder to obtain. Eventually, they'll become mainstream enough where that won't be the case, and you'll probably wish that you had got it when it was a little more difficult.
Yeah. Yeah, that's usually how it goes. But it is a thing though. Like, I mean, more focusing on people that will be coming into this market over the next couple of years. Yeah, just keep that in mind. I mean, like, you really have to monitor the content that you are consuming, and just know that, like, in crypto, this market moves so freaking fast that you do want to make sure that you are really doing a lot of research, looking for different people to follow that are actually sincere, and understanding what are the actual good products, in this market. So, yeah, amen on your friend Sami. Yeah, there you
Yeah.
go. Australian, no hate, no hate. Follow your friend Sami. If you want to get some fluffy socks on and have a friend, yeah, go
He's your
follow your
guy.
friend Sami. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's your
he's your
guy.
guy.
Yeah, all love from your friend Sami. So those are kind of the things to not be participating in. So let's turn our attention to the stuff that we actually have some interest in. If you guys are enjoying the content, hit the like. We very much appreciate it. Yeah, let's talk about RH. Let's talk about Richard Hart now. He's been on Twitter here over the last few weeks. I guess the first kind of basic thing to mention is everybody up to the bankless boys that are on our thumbnail tonight, as well as the altcoin daily boys. They're tweeting about him and, hey, what do you think about this Richard Hart branding change and stuff like that? So I'll you're the resident expert here, Ewok. So I would let you talk about that. Like, how conscious is all of this? How much of it is literally just a quote unquote branding change? And what do you think has kind of been part of the evolution of Richard to come from we really, if you knew what was going on, knew wasn't really him with all the behavior in 2022 and stuff, to now? What do you think is happening? Why now? Why the change of pace here?
Well, I think PulseChain has a lot to do with it. He got to 300,000 followers on Twitter, I think was reason number one. So he did hit his 300,000. He never enjoyed it. He did not enjoy going out blowing money. He's kind of a cheap person. He's self-admitted. I don't like spending money, especially on stuff like that. Now he is usually pretty smart about it and buys things that do appreciate in value. He doesn't just go blow money on things that aren't valuable. But I think he's preparing for the PulseChain launch. He did deactivated his Instagram account, which was all the flexing of all the stuff, the Louis Vuitton and the Gucci and the Prada and all of that stuff. That's basically what the Instagram account was for.
And let's face it, I mean, most Instagram accounts, I mean, that's kind of what that
right.
app is.
It's all just attention grabbing stuff. And that was what he was trying to do. He was just trying to get his name out there. Nothing more than that. I see, Roland says Richard Hart is under fire. I don't think so. I think he knows it's time to pivot, because he did say, when it's time to stop doing that, I'll stop doing that. And now's the time. He's preparing for PulseChain to launch and back to serious work. It's just, I don't see any point in it. The community started to kind of get fed up with it as well. And I think he took that to heart, literally. So, again, I don't think he's under fire. I think he realizes that it's just time to pivot, time to get serious about PulseChain and get on with it. So I think it served its purpose.
Yeah, and we've talked about this in recent weeks too, but I think maybe he underrated before, or didn't realize just how important it was to a lot of the Hex community just to get the updates about PulseChain. I mean, like, even if it's stuff that you don't understand at all, which for most people it's not, let's face it. But, just to see these specific updates from devs and then be able to put, handicap it in some way to put some kind of a time on it, at least to like V3 testnet and, the actual thing launching. It's been really valuable, and I think it has shown, I guess it's been a pivot for him in that way too, because he would just figure that there was no news to really talk about, so he wouldn't talk about it. And I wonder how much of it was really, the ETH merge last year in September, and that kind of throwing not a wrench into things, but changing some things up over the last 6 months. So yeah, maybe they really had challenges here up until the new year. That might be part of it too. That said, I also think we've always thought that there's going to be some market timing for, when PulseChain does launch, because you obviously want the wind in your sails too, as far as the greater crypto market.
Yep, I agree. And I do think they ran into challenges. He was kind of quiet about it, but he would kind of throw it in there a little bit with how many bugs they were, running into with the whole BSC chain, and how many of them that they actually disclosed to those guys themselves so that they could fix them. So yeah, I think the ETH merge was good timing. I think it made their job probably that much easier to pivot. It just made sense to do it. So, and now you see the final updates here of where we're sinking and getting very close. Crypto ran was going to have him, or tried to have him on his show yesterday or today. I forget what day it was.
I didn't realize that.
And he said he couldn't, but he would soon. And that he told him the PulseChain V3 launch was imminent. So, I think that's why he couldn't do it. They're trying to get it squared away. All the T's crossed and I's dotted, and
lowercase J's. Yeah.
Yeah. All those too. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I just think, that it's time to get serious. That's basically what it is. And, I just kind of wanted to touch on this too. The timing may be suspicious. We had the SEC already investigating some of the influencers, the personalities of Hex, and they've found nothing. So, and I don't know, right, when SEC is looking at DeFi projects and calling everything but Bitcoin a security, but you still have Gary Gensler saying not your keys, not your crypto. So they're kind of talking in circles too. There's a whole lot of just stuff they throw at a wall and see what sticks. But if you think you got a tap on the shoulder, then continue to think that. But really done nothing wrong. So
I think he
I'm not
may
concerned.
have. No, I don't.
He may
Yeah,
have, and it could be one of the reasons why his Twitter was changed to "I don't read messages, I don't
yeah,
answer emails," or who knows what they sent him. We do know that there was the subpoena was sent to CZ about the whole coin market cap thing via Twitter. Maybe they tried to send him something or whatever, because he is pretty good with his OPSEC. I doubt they have his address. So,
yeah.
who knows? But either way, I'm not concerned about it. It's a decentralized product that he doesn't really have anything to do with anymore other than marketing it. So, not worried about Hex. If they're looking into PulseChain and the way the sacrifices were run, then maybe that's another reason to get them launched too, to make people realize that your money wasn't stolen. People, it's still sitting in those addresses. So we'll see.
And getting a tap on the shoulder or whatever from the SEC, or just kind of like what some of the Hex folks apparently got in the mail. That doesn't necessarily mean very much.
No,
And that and not just for Hex, but for anything that they put a question into. They want to get their hands on everything, and they want to find out whatever they can about everything. And the definition of a security, and this is something I was going to ask you about Ewok too, because Richard was tweeting all about this one of the last few days too, is purposely a broad definition by the SEC, so they can basically call whatever they want a security. Like they
sure.
purposely leave themselves all kind of wiggle room. They're not dumb,
Yeah.
to be able to do that. So I think that's both good and bad, because it's kind of like, just because you get a question or somebody might be looking into you, that doesn't mean anything is going to come out of it necessarily.
Nope.
Like it's just them being able to put their fingers on everything.
Sure. Yeah, and they make their wording so just I don't even know what the word I'm looking for is, but they make it so vague that
Ambiguous.
Ambiguous, yes.
Yeah.
So that they can spin it how they want to, or when it's time to change the language, all they have to do is change one word, and people don't even really realize it. So, it's going to be a long, hard fight, I think, with these people. They really don't know what they're doing. They don't know much about crypto anyway.
Yeah.
So educating them and getting some senators and people to represent us is probably going to be the best way to go about fighting this, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I am with you there. I wanted to say this too, back to the Richard and like what he's, how he's rebranded himself and how like his Twitter bio reads and stuff like that. I mentioned it earlier. I do find Reddit to be a valuable source, the Reddit cryptocurrency subreddit, to be valuable as basically a system to fade. Just everything that's going on in there, do the opposite. Basically, you'll probably be okay. It's kind of like the inverse Kramer. But if you would go in there right now, you'll basically see that everything is a bloodbath, and the recession looms, and get out while you can, and all these things. And there lately has been a Richard Hart or Hex related post almost daily in there that gets to the top of the subreddit, which is kind of significant because it's a big subreddit. But they are saying like, oh yeah, did you see he scrubbed everything about Hex from his bio, and he, deleted this right before he runs off with everybody's money. And it's like, number one, he didn't. I mean, you were just looking at his bio prior to us going on the air, and it's there. But he didn't even really have tons of Hex-centric stuff in there to begin with. He's also, like we've just said, been tweeting constantly about the progress of his brand new L1 that people are waiting with bated breath for. So I just don't, I guess my point with that is Reddit, although it may be good for some things, I actually think it is good for this. Go to the cryptocurrency subreddit, the full word cryptocurrency, and use it as a resource to fade what they do, because they are all basically, clutching their pearls. That's just, it's a good place to go to get a dose of like where the normies are kind of looking in crypto, I think. So
Yeah, like I said, I stay away from it. I think it's toxic.
yeah, it is.
I don't need. I mean, yeah, I don't need to go see what other people are saying. I see it in Twitter enough where,
Mhm.
it just gives me more motivation to block and mute people. So that's fun.
Yeah. 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 It was fun the other day too. I don't know what it was. And I forget who from Hex on Twitter from the community said this, but there were multiple people on, I think, Monday. I don't even know what accounts they were, just whoever, but just with like the whole, well, it's a Ponzi, but it's a kind of Ponzi where, and it's just like, dude, this is so tired at this
It was
point.
Simon Dixon.
He was one of them.
Yeah.
The other one was the one I read more of. I forget who it was, but it was just like, come on, dude. Like he literally contradicted himself all within the
Right.
same thread. I mean, most of these people are 100%. I'll say it myself. I know now as a quote unquote content creator, even though it's a small YouTube channel, anytime you put something out about Hex, you will at least 3x the attention you get from anything else you ever cover.
Sure.
That is good for Hex. I don't know why people do not understand that, but it's like, that's the network effect, man. Like it isn't taking place anywhere else in crypto right now.
Yeah.
And, Bob Lucas has been guilty of it, for Christ's sake.
Yeah.
I mean, he will tweet about Hex every now and then. So
why they all do. They all do. You've got these guys, especially Altcoin Daily. They talk about it all the time. And that they don't like it, but they get the responses and the retweets and the comments, and it's just it's all for the clicks. It's all clickbait. So
yeah, it definitely is. And yeah, you can really see just in the numbers. I mean, you start doing anything about Hex, and that'll happen. Go ahead and answer this because I wanted to get into that.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, I think.
Well, let's state if you could state it just for the people that are just listening, maybe later.
Yeah, it says, do you foresee sites like CoinMarketCap and exchanges gatekeeping PulseChain as they are doing with Hex? I don't think so. I don't think as much, because I do believe there are several exchanges that are going to list it fairly, right away. And there's a lot less to it. It's not as confusing. It's just a layer 2 or a layer. It's just another layer 1. It's a fork of Ethereum. People just understand it more. And I don't think we'll get the gatekeeping that has happened with Hex for several reasons. You're going to be able to get it more places. Yeah, I don't see it. I don't see it being an issue. We'll see. If they do, then we know that they're really just anti Richard Hart, and it's not just Hex, it's him. So I think that'll be the telltale sign is how quickly these things show up now, because of the very large market cap. I do see some gatekeeping in the sense of how they list how many coins there are for circulation purposes. I don't see them including the full number because it could easily start overtaking some popular coins, and they may not want that. So, that'll be an interesting scenario to kind of keep an eye on as to how many they say circulating coins are based on the full supply. We'll have to see.
I think that will definitely be interesting. And yeah, they definitely don't like Richard Hart, but like you just said, Ewok, it is a layer 1, and it's something that they're more familiar with. It's not just a DeFi. I almost said the S word. We're going to talk about that in a minute, but a DeFi mining smurfing protocol. It's not just that. It's an actual layer 1. So, and the amount of attention it's going to get in things like that. Yeah, I do think it will be listed on there, which will be insane and very, very cool. So, we will see that. Before we get into the thing I just mentioned, what did you make of his specific PulseChain updates from Monday? You DM'd me, and I 100% thought the same thing as you. The way his tweet started, I thought it was the announcement for V3. It almost, the way it was constructed, everything about it looked like it. I'm guessing he probably wanted people to think that maybe.
Probably.
Yeah. But yeah, what did you make of those? And then also, I was going to mention this a minute ago and I forgot. I think Hexo might have tweeted this, but just that there was even a slight minor change on the testnet site. Now, it was still all of the details in it was for the V2B or whatever. It was still that, the RPL or whatever and all that stuff. But they look like they're gearing up the landing page for a change. There was multiple changes made. So what did you make of these updates and stuff?
PulseChain, so PulseChain.com was changed. It was updated. You're right. It still has the V2B, RPC, all the settings in it, but they changed the wording. I forget who it was, but yeah, Hexo might have posted the screenshot of what it was before, what it was after. Slight changes, but yes, just getting ready for it. As far as the updates go, I think they were very bullish. There's a couple things that Richard mentioned, and one of them was the Aragon code that was giving him the problem before. I don't know if a lot of people caught this or not, but the guys from Aragon actually released an update to their software because he said we had to roll it back to the previous version that didn't have that bug. And I'm going to share this here. I need to actually share it. These are all the updates that the last Aragon update released. So I'm not sure. This is the change log of 2 days ago for the Aragon code. And if you notice how many of these changes or updates or fixes that they released, and I just wonder how many of these that, Richard's devs actually found or came across. But there's over 600 changes to this last update. So that allowed them to resync everything using Aragon. Let's go to the here it is. Yep, Aragon released a bug fix so that, allowed them to get through the execution stage where it was getting hung up before. So that's a good thing. He lists here all the release notes that we just saw. So yeah, it looks like it got past that place where they were having the issue before. Right. We have 10-second block time, which is 20% faster than Ethereum is, running at 12 seconds. And yeah, so I mean, just a lot of good information. I think we've got, as of yesterday, I think there were still maybe 10 to 15 hours of sync time on the updates that he had listed. I don't remember where those were.
It seemed like it was over halfway through syncing or so from what I read, right?
Yeah, there were different stages, and I think stage 8, stage 9, stage 10 were pretty intensive. I wish I could find it easily, but I don't know where it was, so I'm not even gonna go there. But either way, we probably have another day or so left of the stages that he had listed,
right?
And then it could potentially, I think probably by the weekend we should hear something or get a more clear update from him, the way he's been updating at least, and keeping people, abreast of what's going on. I think we should probably know something or see something by this weekend.
I think so too. Yeah, with the regularity that he's been updating, and the fact that there has been a lot of stuff on weekends too. Yeah, I think we're probably going to get something. So, I have alerts turned on for him now because I think you have that feel. I'm sure you always have his alerts on Ewok, but yeah, it's just I'm getting that feel that things are really close here. So, just want to catch everything that comes up, but. Before we get out of here, I do want to tackle this last thing that he was talking about. And if you guys are here and enjoying the stream, hit the like. We very much appreciate it. The renaming of the term staking. Okay, so he's talked about that recently, and yeah, I'm sure there's no secret really here. I think it's likely because of the way that whispers he's been hearing, maybe not even whispers, maybe just flat out screams, that the SEC is coming after like that term and that idea. And it's not like it's just Hex has used that. That's something that's been used amongst all DeFi protocols. It's been used against CeFi protocols. And they're the ones that have actually taken people's money.
Right.
So, staking your Ethereum, staking whatever on a CeFi, like a Celsius, or even like a Kraken, which you're no longer allowed to do in the United States. But so that's not like a unique term to Hex by any remote stretch of the imagination. But I like where he's going with this to try to rebrand it and get ahead of some of the crap that the SEC is really going to be honing in on over the next few years with regulation in crypto. So what do you make of it? What do you think? I don't really care what it's called. I think it's kind of a silly thing to talk about, I guess. But, for branding, which Hex is big on, and it's part of the reason it does so well. I mean, for Christ's sake, the name of that documentary was going to be The Highest of Stakes. I don't know if that's still the case or what.
Yeah.
But yeah, so what do you make of that? I mean, how important of a thing do you think this is? What is it? What is maybe an accurate term to call it for what the action is you're actually doing? Because Richard is right. I mean, it is you interacting with a contract. You're not getting paid by somebody else or anything. You've chosen to lock up tokens for X amount of time, which you are printing this reward for yourself because you've decided to do that. So,
yeah. So I think a couple things. I think the word staking is starting to confuse people because of the regulatory actions that were taken against the CeFi stakers. So it could lead maybe some bad information or confusing information for people that are trying to onboard when we would say staking, for example. And then, they hear, well, I heard they're really cracking down on staking, so better not do that. So I think it's more that than anything. Just to compare it to mining. He has always compared it to mining Bitcoin. And it really is more of a virtual miner. It explains it better than I think staking does, only because of how the contract works. You do mint your inflation. And that's what miners do is, they perform code, and it mints inflation, and that's how it's brought into existence. So I think that is more accurate. And then it was changed again. So now we're not mining, we're actually publishing, or we're smurfing, or whatever we're doing. I don't think it really matters. But we need to figure something out and be consistent with it. You've got all these people, and I have a couple myself that say stake Hex and do this or whatever. I think the hex.com site was fixed, but the go.hex.com was not.
That's what Pip just said in the chat.
Yeah. I see it says go Hex, still says stake. So I don't know. And I really don't think it's important. It's semantics at this point. But again, we need to all be consistent, I think, is, where we need to go with it, and just call it whatever we're going to call it. We all need to be on the same page. And he hasn't been overly clear with that. Maybe he doesn't want to decide. Maybe he wants to let the community decide what kind of sticks, what works best. I don't know. I think it, again, I think it was more about the regulations that are happening with the CeFi staking, that he didn't want to be included into the discussions of that and just be lumped in. All staking now is bad. Well, that's not really the case, because DeFi staking is fine. You have all these, even old QT wallets that have staking that still work, and that's how you get paid to hold the nodes. A lot of a lot of cryptocurrencies kind of started that way. I remember, whether they had master nodes or single nodes, but they were stakers. So I don't know. I think it's more just to stay out of the crosshairs as much as possible.
Right.
Why draw attention if you don't need it? If they're already coming down on staking, change the term. It's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's clearly to get ahead of these things. And I would want to depart myself from it too. I mean, like, even though it's mainly CeFi that have gotten everybody in trouble and taken everybody's money over the last couple of years, really, if you've lost it in DeFi for the most part, it's probably something that you did wrong, or just,
Yeah.
Getting involved with the wrong kinds of things that you didn't see the writing on the wall. But yeah, I would want to separate myself from the term as much as possible if they're going to, be like that about it. And I do think mining makes a lot of sense. I mean, that it's pretty much, that's what kind of Hex is like the better version of Bitcoin, and mining the tokens without having, a rig in your home and wasting all this electricity and stuff like that, and being proof of mine. I don't know. But yeah. So I think that's an interesting word for it. Although I don't think they like miners either. They don't like anybody. So what are you
No,
gonna
they
do?
don't. I don't know that you can win.
Right. Yeah. I don't know either as far as words on a paper. But yeah, I do understand why he's doing it. We'll kind of see how it progresses. I do think it benefits them as much as I don't care what it's called either. I do think it benefits him and Hex, and probably other DeFi protocols too, to come up with an agreed upon thing to somehow separate yourself from whatever idea the SEC has. I think that is kind of important. So yeah, I think that's kind of where we head off on that. But this has been a jam-packed episode. We talk about a lot here. March is an interesting month. It's going to be, I think, volatile, like you said, to Ewok over the next 3 weeks here. We've got a lot of stuff coming up this spring that's going to be interesting. But, to me, it's a weird time in the market right now. I mean, I think a lot of people probably feel like there's some bluer skies than there have been, because 2022 was pure hell on earth. We're certainly not there anymore. But now, that we've had a good taste of some nice moves the last couple of months, and now we're kind of seeing some red here and there, and then we're seeing Jerome Powell's face again and everything. I think people may be having some PTSD a little bit for 2022. But, it's tough. I mean, nobody said this was going to be easy. I mean, portfolios are likely still mostly way down across the board, and you just got to stick it out. Some days really sucks. I've even had some days myself recently too, where it's like psychologically not doing as good as you feel like you could have been, and just trying to get through it, and just realizing what an important factor time is in this whole equation, and trying to do more every single day, trying to get more money into the market, trying to work and build up more dry powder, which, everybody should be doing. Don't rest on your laurels. But sometimes you just have to say, like, I'm also a little bit of a leaf blowing in the wind with where this market is going, and I have to just kind of wait. That's one thing we all have in common with that. So
time is the best thing we have going for us, and we've said it from the beginning. As long as you have a long time horizon, this is not get rich quick. it's get rich slow, and it does take patience and consistency. You can't just pop in and out and think you're gonna pick the right day. You have to be consistent about finding it, and getting through those mental struggles is hard. Especially, it does wear on you over time. It is it is difficult, and it's you got to get away from it though too. Sometimes too, is take a break and walk outside and go do things that get your mind off of it, so that you can come back refreshed and ready to dive back in. So
I agree with you. I think that's really, really important. And yeah, you have to just get away from it and totally focus on something else. And, try to be productive too. I mean, try to, like we've talked about so many times, try to build something in these times, whatever that may be for you, whatever skills you have in the meantime. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you're still here, before you get out of here, hit the like. If you enjoy what you saw here and want to hear more of it every Wednesday, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. I'm Boi Crypto. That is Crypto Ewok. He is at Crypto Ewok 5555. And follow us both. We join each other here every single Wednesday night, talk a lot of DeFi and the greater crypto space. Any final parting thoughts at all from you tonight, Ewok?
No, man. That's about it. I just, hopefully by weekend we've got some news, and we'll have an exciting show next week to give us some stuff to talk about.
Yeah, we will have CPI by this time next week, so that could either be a nothing burger or a something burger. I don't know what kind, but we'll find out.
We'll be having burgers.
Yeah, we'll find out what kind of sandwich we're biting out of there. But should be interesting. That'll be next week, the 15th of March, halfway through March already. And we will catch you guys then right here on the Creed of Crypto podcast.